In the shadows of American history, some stories reveal a darkness that's hard to fathom. Joseph Paul Franklin's is one of them. Born James Clayton Vaughn, Jr. in 1950, Alabama, his childhood was marked by poverty, violence, and neglect. His father's alcoholism and abuse left deep scars, while his mother was powerless to shield her children. Alienated and half-blind from an untreated injury, young James retreated into books, searching for meaning in a world that seemed only to hurt him. In his isolation, resentment grew. He sought someone to blame for his pain. Extremist literature offered him answers. White supremacy and anti-Semitism gave his anger a target. Groups like the American Nazi Party and KKK provided a twisted sense of belonging and purpose. He reinvented himself, legally changing his name to Joseph Paul Franklin, honoring Nazi propagandist Goebbels and perversely Benjamin Franklin. No longer the victim, he became the self-styled avenger, forging an identity in hate. This new identity would drive him to seek purity through violence. He was now a man on a mission, his life's meaning found in the destruction of others. The transformation was complete, a soul forged in pain, now dedicated to spreading it. With a new name, Franklin launched a one-man race war. His first murders targeted interracial couples, symbols to him of a corrupted America. In 1977, he killed Alphonse Manning Jr. and Tony Schwen in Wisconsin, sniping them as they left a mall. The randomness of his attack spread fear as he moved from state to state, leaving death in his wake. He targeted people not for who they were, but for what they represented. In 1978, he shot Gerald Gordon outside a St. Louis synagogue, then returned weeks later to kill him and wound 2 others. The synagogue attack was a chilling message. No one was safe from his hate. Franklin's violence was methodical. He'd drift into towns, scout victims, and strike with patience and precision. He funded his crusade by robbing banks, seeing theft as a means to his hateful ends. Franklin's radicalization was total. He saw himself as a patriot, his murders as acts of purification. Each shot in his mind was a step toward a cleansed America. He was no longer just a believer in hate, he was its instrument. The country became his hunting ground and his cause a trail of blood. His campaign was relentless, his ideology now written in violence. The poison of hate had found its perfect vessel. The late 1970s and early 1980s were haunted by Franklin's violence. His murders spanned the country, a sniper's trail of terror that baffled law enforcement. In Ohio, he killed 2 black cousins, Dante Brown and Darrell Lane, as they walked to a store. He struck from a distance, rarely confronting his victims, always choosing them for their race. The pattern repeated: a high-powered rifle, a hidden vantage, and innocent lives lost. In Georgia, he attempted to assassinate Larry Flynt, outraged by an interracial photo spread in Hustler magazine, leaving Flynt paralyzed. Franklin's attacks were unpredictable. He targeted interracial couples, civil rights leaders, and synagogues. He bombed a synagogue in Tennessee and shot civil rights activist Vernon Jordan Jr. He was a nomad of hate, his violence a storm sweeping across America. His crimes were linked only by their bigotry and brutality. Franklin's rampage exposed the reach of homegrown extremism. He was a force of destruction, his motives chillingly clear. The nation lived in fear of a killer who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. For years, Franklin was a phantom, but the pattern of sniper attacks finally drew law enforcement's focus. The FBI profiled a mobile, hate-driven killer, but his identity remained elusive. The break came in 1980 when a Florida nurse grew suspicious of a nervous plasma donor with racist tattoos. Authorities arrested Joseph Paul Franklin for firearms violations, suspecting he was much more dangerous. In custody, Franklin began to confess, detailing murders, bombings, and assaults across the country. He spoke of his crimes with chilling detachment, showing no remorse. To him, his victims were not people, but obstacles to be removed. His confessions solved cold cases from Utah to Georgia. The phantom sniper was unmasked, a single man responsible for a nationwide reign of terror. Franklin saw himself as a martyr, not a monster. His pride in his crimes was as disturbing as the acts themselves. The hunter had become the hunted, his legacy one of pain and fear. Justice at last had caught up to him. Franklin faced trial after trial, receiving multiple life sentences and a death sentence in Missouri. On death row, he remained unrepentant, using his time to spread hate through letters and interviews. He never expressed remorse, insisting his violence was justified. His story raises a haunting question: is evil born or made? Franklin's life suggests a terrifying mix of both: a child shaped by violence, a man consumed by ideology. On November 20th, 2013, Franklin was executed by lethal injection. He died as he lived, unrepentant, convinced of his cause. His death closed a dark chapter, but the questions he left behind endure. How does such hate take root, and how can it be stopped? The battle against hate, Franklin's story reminds us, is never truly over.